Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Jester's Court. It's me, Coach Dub. This is Kopy, our fearless leader. Kopy has put together a series of awards that we've been highlighting over the last couple of weeks as we get ready for the end of the 2020 high school Jester's school year and gear up for playoffs. Today, we're talking about yet another award that I look forward to every year because these students are the ones that take the league by surprise as the year is still going on. This is the Most Improved Performer Award. Tell us about what this means to you, Kopy, this specific award. What do you feel from the Most Improved Player?
So this award, I believe, holds the same exact level of importance as the MVP award.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about how you get into this award first, but the difference between this, though, and the MVP award is because this is mapping growth in people, and this is an art form that is, of course, it's fun and entertaining and funny and gaggy and goofy, but it is also social. And it's filled with fear and animosity and anxiety, and there's so many things that go into how hard this is. So to map growth is huge, and it's very seldom that when I talk about this award, when I give this award, that I don't get choked up in the moment of it. And even in the years past, for when I presented this award, if it didn't seem like I was visibly like bawling my eyes out, I cried for everyone. And maybe my voice powered through certain moments over others. I don't know if there are some of them where I've had to choke up on my own tears.
Yeah. And
then some where I've been able to power through. But typically, and if you haven't noticed, that this ends up being the last award given. So even over MVP, it's normally Most Improved is given last. So if you notice, we're 4 weeks in, and here we are talking about it last again.
Yeah.
So we're going to announce All-Stars next week, but I did that on purpose because of just what has happened this year. But normally this ends up being last.
I have a unique take on this because once upon a time in a completely different arena, Kopy cried while handing me a Most Improved award. And it's a completely different canon, whatever. But I remember when I got that feeling and how I've carried it forward in my coaching, I have come to love this award because what we do is cultivate a series of skills. And while our MVPs and our main stage cast are composed of students who get it, got it, and are ready to go, there's something special about the students who need that extra bit of time who flourish in front of us, right? There's just such a cool feeling of like an investment paid off, the time, the effort to watch a student get it, attain it, and then carry it for the rest of their lives.
Well, and then here's the thing, everyone wants to grow, everyone wants to get better. There's no one that steps on our stage that doesn't want to be the best one up there. That's the truth of it, okay?
True.
So even if you're the weirdo that's like, no, I just want to be up here with my friends, you're lying. You want to do well.
You don't want to be bad.
So to embrace that, to be humble about it, and then to show that growth, every nominee and every winner has always had a unique story. And I know those stories, and they always get me to an emotional level. They always speak to me in different ways. So this one typically will get me emotional. Of course, the Jack Elton Award tears me apart every year.
Whole nother animal.
Which of course there's no nominees for it. It is a different beast. We will see on Championship Day who this year's winner is. But for this award gets me in a different way as well. So.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a couple students get nominated for this over the years, and it's always a gift to the coach too, in a way, because the coach gets to go, hey, look, I did actually make a difference to these kids, and so I'm looking forward to this. Honorable mentions then.
Well, let's clearly define how you get here.
Well, sure, I suppose so.
Yep.
What are you looking for as far as the specific skills?
The one sentence definition is how to be a nominee for Most Improved Performer is you show the most amount of growth in the shortest amount of time.
Sure.
And that time is measured differently for everybody. So sometimes that time can be a couple of months, sometimes that time is the entire season, sometimes it just depends on who you're up against and everyone else in the league. So most amount of growth in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
Which that scenario has always produced the best stories. So even Song behind the camera was a recipient of this award. I remember it. I remember her entire class, those 6 that got nominated. These all speak in different ways. So let's tell these stories.
Oh man, I'm so stoked. Okay, who are the honorable mentions?
So yes, there are 3 honorable mentions because with this award, we have to see who fits into it, and then remember it has to fit into the shortest amount of time. So there's 3 honorable mentions that did make it into these nominees that were not announced on Wednesday when it was posted, but I always like to give out honorable mentions. And honorable mention number 1 from East Tech is Zoe Malin.
Yay! Absolutely.
East Tech has always produced strong performers. Just with goofy ways, and going back to the Adam days of East Tech, they've always had a good creative way of doing improv. And I think Zoe this year not only found that creativity that she always had, but found ways to grow as a scene producer and as a motivator. And I think she crossed a barrier of, wow, this girl can do it.
Yeah.
Like, this girl can work.
I really enjoy her personality.
Yep.
She's just very like. She reminds me a bit of Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter series. Like not trying to do like she's just kind of going with the flow, pulling things from different places, putting them out there, and if you don't pick them up, that's on you. She's Zoe.
If you want to, if we're talking a category of growth, Zoe needs to be on here. And now Zoe graduating. I mean, I wish I had 1 more year.
Right.
And this category is also the thing where I go, oh, give me 1 more year of this person. And Zoe, best of luck to you moving forward. Call me if you want to keep coaching. Honorable mention number 2.
That's not subtle.
That's not subtle at all.
Zoe would be
all
happy
of you
to-
seniors that are graduating, call me if you want to stick with me.
Come play.
Honorable mention number 2 from Centennial, Morgan D. Erickson. Gosh, man, one of the practices early on this year at Centennial, there was a scene in a game, and I don't, you know what I do remember? It was replay, and there was something about it that got to Morgan D. And I don't remember exactly what it was, why she kind of panicked, but she panicked to where she ran out of the lobby of the theater outside. And I watched a couple of her students run out there with her, and it was that weird moment where the whole team and Coach Mariah and all of us kind of sat there and went, what's going on? And we're watching her through the window just crying her eyes out, freaking out. And I just said, okay, Mariah, I got it. So I let Mariah continue running practice, and then I went out there. And Morgan D, the anxiety she had from the idea of having to do that scene, she was so overwhelmed to where I think a lot of us have been there. A lot of us have been there in some capacity, and maybe we don't all get there in a performance sense, but we've all been there. And then Morgan D, it was either one way or the other from that point. And I remember saying to Mariah, either A, she's going to turn around and come back and really improve, or this is it. This was her last day.
I've had a handful of students with a story similar to that over the years, and I have such an appreciation for those students who understand that there's a bigger picture and a bigger series of steps to take towards improvement in this whole arena, and she would be one of those then. One of those who came back and hit it out of the park in the face of all of those things that do weigh us down. I mean, I openly will tell you I have terrific anxiety when it comes to trying to make people laugh still to this day after so many years in coaching. So for her to be the one who chooses to battle that is something to commend.
Watching her come backstage in her first show this year almost made me cry in itself.
Yeah.
Because of how powerful that moment was. And then not only that, she was good. So she was good, and she did however many shows she did this year, so she was a full participant in that Centennial Team Adorable. So
that would have been. These are great honorable mentions.
Yep.
These are great stories. And
got one more. One
that
more
third
honorable mention. From Durango, Sasha Koroleva.
Oh yes, you've talked about Sasha a lot this year.
I mean, this is a girl who has a small language barrier, with a nice thick Russian accent, which 3 years ago was thicker. But now who she is as a performer is someone who really enjoys being up there. And this is a girl who's got a whole nother life outside of us. She's a gymnast. She's an acrobat. She performs with her father on the Las Vegas Strip and around the world. But something keeps bringing her back to improv. And this year, not only was the fun she was having, it just shine on stage.
Yeah.
She was making good choices.
Good.
She was leading stuff and putting herself out there to help a super strong Durango team be even better.
Yeah. True.
So to watch, there's one thing to laugh at someone because maybe they've got a funny accent, and it's humorous to you. But then there's another thing to forget about it and just be entertained by what they do.
By what they're doing. Yeah, I agree.
So she deserves to be on the honorable mention list as well.
Yeah.
So all three.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into the nominees now for the Most Improved Improver Award 2020. Our 11th season, Kopy leading off. Student number A, letter A, the first in our list. Who is it?
From Desert Pines, Jalen Bowie.
Yay! Absolutely, 100%. Totally deserves to be up there. I've been talking about him all year, and I've only seen him perform twice.
Yep.
2 scenes, I think, actually.
So Desert Pines was just a team full of energy last year.
Yeah.
Where they were figuring out how to do it. This year, not only is the whole team improved, but here comes this giant out of the brush fire in Jalen, and Isaiah from Northwest said it best when we were having that conversation through our recap video for the playoffs. Is that it's easy to go from bad to good. It's really hard to go from good to great.
Correct.
And I feel like Jalen is in the middle of that transition from good to great, and that is such a hard barrier to knock down. We've been talking about him all year. He's been catching everyone's eye all year. It's so hard to deny that growth.
Yeah.
Hands down deserves to be in these 6.
Totally. He's an X factor on any stage. And I remember when Del Sol and Desert Pines met in the playoffs last year, I just couldn't wait to see what a Jalen Christian dynamic would look like. And he doesn't disappoint. I mean, he does have an incredibly bold way of performing. Yep. And I think this year, though, he took his bold decisions and stepped away from some of the darker choices he made last year that kind of dragged down his performance, and has become just a shining light of creativity for the league this year. So absolutely well deserved. Round 2, our second nominee, number B, letter 2.
From Northwest, Kylie Meyer.
Oh, Northwest loves Most Improved awards.
Dude, it's so refreshing to watch Kylie perform. Kylie, who was on a championship team last year that made it to the championship, to where Kylie was a freshman, was I don't know where the ranking is as far as who's going to play in the playoffs, but Kylie had to have been much farther down the list because of their giants like an Ariel and a Noah and so on.
Right.
So to watch Kylie now, in some shows, be the best one up there, it's so awesome to see. Right now, going into this year, I was going to assume Northwest to have a 3-headed giant between Callie and Isaiah and Erica, and to watch them add a head to that giant, a couple of heads, because there's a couple of people improving there. But Kylie, man, It's awesome. It is completely awesome to see what she's doing. And I think her whole team knows it. I think her whole team either watched this video or saw the announcement and immediately jumped for joy because they knew Kylie deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a team can sense when somebody is catching on. Because rally around them, and you get excited about being next to them, and you get excited about how they're going to bounce your ideas off of you. You know, it's great to see that school get so many pieces to continue to be such a consistent force in the West and in our league. So a fourth head is better than 3, which is better than 2, which is better than 1, which is better than none.
Our third nominee from Bonanza, Emmanuel Espino.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to remember if I've seen him go.
Emmanuel is a third-year player who started getting the itch to how to get better. His first year, so 3 years ago, he was a wild card. He was the guy who was funny on the first day of practice, but then you veterans went, ooh. I wrote an email to the league, and you might remember this email.
Perhaps.
About students hurting babies in improv scenes. Because Emmanuel, in a scene, punted a baby. Obviously, it was a fake imaginary baby. But I wrote an email to the entire league, to the staff, to talk about that exact moment.
Yeah.
Because of how wrong it is, how to coach out of that, and how to get past that.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel this year not only is not punting babies, but he is, in some shows, the funniest guy up there for the right reasons. Because he's making the right choices, and he's so awkward and so weird, and this is such a world for you that you also deserve to be in this category as well.
I get it.
I was getting there on Kylie, and Emmanuel got me. So.
Gotcha. You know, speaking from that's another story I've heard before. I'm just gonna throw this off you so you have a moment to recover. But how about Greg Holt? My Del Sol Most Improved 2 or 3 years ago. Same kind of feel, maybe? Yeah. Students who can go out there and have the confidence to make these decisions are certainly commendable, but sometimes you do go a little bit too far in your decision making. And then as years go on, you begin to realize where you should steer so that other people can play with your ideas, and you're not necessarily offending audiences. So those kind of students who learn that lesson are just as valuable as any other top tier performers in our league, because you have to learn what's not good in order to get good. And
good. Yeah. Go back to those anniversary videos and watch the Shocking Moments video where we talk about Greg Holt. Yeah. Very similar to a situation we just talked about with Emmanuel.
Yeah. But I'm happy for you, Emmanuel, because if you improve to the point where you can make Kopy cry, it's because you actively and decidedly worked on it and learned and actually learned. So thank you for putting the value into what we're doing to learn. And congratulations. We are on our 5th nominee?
4th.
Cool. I know numbers.
From Green Valley, Machine Gun Justice Bono.
Cool. Absolutely agree too. She's like the lady Jalen.
I don't know if on this list there's anyone that's more humble. And I have this permanent, like, seared in vision in my head of Justice with this almost deer in the headlights, ready to digest and learn whatever you want to give her, because she really does want to get better, and she did. And from an impact on the All-Star voting this year to being recognized by other coaches and teams and putting herself out there during the summer and during the public fit shows, those experimental shows, she tried her little butt off, and she did, and she took on, I think, the name I gave her with Justice. No pun intended, but it's cool. It's really cool to see someone who wants to do better and then be able to get themselves into that category.
Forgive me for spying patterns in some of these most improved stories from year to year. You know, I do like to do the comparison thing. She reminds me of Gio in the way that he blew up last year. You know, like
there's nothing wrong with the comparisons. Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Because you look at her and you go, I know who you were, but boy, I don't know who this is, and I'm stoked.
And you know what? That's actually a great comparison, because those Green Valley girls, those
Yes.
Girls that have been here a couple of years now, Kiana and Ashley
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
They love Geo. There's a great relationship there. They work
Mhm.
together in the summer and the public fits and whatnot. So they like seeing each other and communicating and I think Valley and Green Valley played. Well, maybe they have. Nonetheless, so that's a great comparison.
We're on to our fifth nominee. Do we need...
We're good?
We're on to our fifth nominee for our Most Improved Player Award. Who do we got?
From Silverado, Nathan Olson.
Yeah, another good, smart pick.
This is the post Corey era of Silverado. Corey, of course, has kind of been their rock for the past 4 years, with Troy mixed in there and some older kids. It is now the Nick era, where Nick is clearly the guy.
He's still got one more year, doesn't he?
Yep. But next to him are some teammates that are really doing some work.
Yeah.
And Nathan has such a strong voice and presence when he does things now. That is someone that I know Nick has to be proud to stand next to.
Correct.
Someone has to be proud of what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because our growth in the shortest amount of time is completely measured in what Nathan has done this year. So Nathan, know that you're a contender, know that you are deserving of this, and it has been completely recognized by the league.
Yeah, there are times when there's a student that gets to share so much knowledge into his team around him, like Nick, I would say, has always had this knack for performing. So it's always fun to watch when students drink at that pool and decide, yeah, I'll take that, and yeah, I'll leave that behind, and then I'll take that. And I think Nathan has been the guy who clearly has tried some of Nick, but also found a lot of Nathan.
Yep, absolutely, and it's contagious. It is spilling over into more.
Yeah.
So Parker's getting there tonight. So
Yes.
it's just,
and that's a credit to
more.
Nick's enthusiasm, if nothing else.
Yep.
And perhaps Isaac's
Isaac,
a great, nice,
Enrique.
his pointed coaching. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Enrique's been great for that camp too. So, good job. That's a great pick. We have one more.
last one.
And our last nominee for Most Improved Performer of 2019-2020 is...
From Arborview, Jesse Miles.
Cool. All right.
So if the definition, most growth in the shortest amount of time, right here we've got a 4-year player that in her 4th year as a senior has done the most in the short amount of time. I've watched Jesse go from someone who I think in her previous 3 years just enjoyed this and just had fun, because this is fun. Some of us don't even have these awards in our brain, and if you don't, that's no problem at all.
You don't.
If you're really just having fun with this, then I want you to have fun, because we have a blast with this. We put in all of this extra work so that we can all really have fun with this and grow. So to see Jesse now be a contender for Arborview, to be a staple, to be doing good work, to be, and honestly, and I'm going to throw this out there, and all I'll say is she's kind of like a secret weapon for Arborview right now. It's so cool to see a 4-year kid give us 4 years and then do this in her senior year. So, thank you, Jesse.
I agree. I think that when it comes to seeing a student give their whole high school time to improv, it shows a certain level of commitment that not many obviously do put in for whatever reason. But to see a student who, in their 4th year, makes it the best they can, it reminds me a lot of, never mind, I shouldn't be comparing everybody to everybody, but Erica Real, she was a 4-year student. Or as close as she could get at the time.
Old Del Sol student,
Had a long way to go, but got there
Yep.
enough in the senior year to be a commendable part of the team. But for you, Jesse, you've obviously stepped beyond that and been able to be a solid foothold for the team, not just slightly better. So congratulations, and I look forward to seeing what Arborview does in that first round, because they have been one of the most improved teams of the year. You could certainly discuss.
Absolutely.
Congrats to all the Most Improved performers! You guys deserve it, and thank you for the work you have put in to grasp what we are trying to do with this league. For many reasons, you have gone from, not knowing what you're doing to being great, and you need to hold yourself true to that and remember that when you have doubts. So congrats, and keep killing it. And we'll see you guys next week for one last video, one last award. We'll be talking about every single team's all-star selection. That's right, one show for all 30 of you.
32.
32. I thought it was 32. One show for all 32 of you, and we'll discuss who you are next week.